Okay, I want to bring a new video that I think is very timely at this point in the year and introduce you to a friend that I'm getting to know and actually going to be using myself. Charles, tell us a little bit of what you do. You help with tax protests here in the state of Texas, but tell us a little bit about your company and maybe areas you serve.
Well, thanks for having me, Brandon. I'm super excited to be here, and I'm one of the co-founders of Gildenson and Company. We protest property taxes for residential homeowners and commercial property owners and business personal property throughout the state of Texas. We're one of the few firms that works in all 254 counties in Texas. So my team is in the major metros, but we span to really every county, even the rural counties. We go throughout the state. So we love doing that and helping property owners reduce their property taxes. They're so high in Texas.
That's good. So you serve all of Texas. So I know you're helping me one in South Texas that I just can't get to as easily, and and that's been a great conversation with you, with the backgrounds of both of us have. So, um, questions as we get through the process. I think first off, we ask, how is the process? Because I know not many people know all the different processes from start to finish. Can you describe kind of the escalation process and how you handle those?
Yeah, so the tax code in Texas lays out the process, and it's generally similar for every county, but every county has their own nuances and style to it. They're all 254 government offices, but the concept is you file your protest before May 15th, and that's the right to protest the
Right.
value. We protest on a lot of things. What we do is we file an open protest for the market value and for unfair and equal compared to your neighbors. If you have exemption issues or other things, you can file other types of protests. But from there, we then open up an informal conversation or multiple conversations with the county. So that's where we can actually sit down like we're doing now, either in this type of format or in person, to say, here's the facts, here's what we found, and here's why we're right. What did you find? And so it's very efficient when you have licensed appraiser conversations, and this is what we do every day. You can usually come to an agreement that's fair. It's not a meeting in the middle type of thing. It's here's what the value should be and here's my proof. Um, and I think where a lot of homeowners do is they maybe get to that process and they get intimidated and overwhelmed, and they might just get like an offer to go away, which would be something we don't do, and that would be an advantage to
Right.
hiring a professional. But anyways, you go through that process. If you don't like your offer on the table, you don't get an offer. You can go to a formal hearing in front of the ARB. It's like a small claims court environment, um,
Right.
which I'm sure you've been to quite a bit. And it can be contentious, it could be friendly, but basically it's you versus the county in front of a three-member ARB panel, and the ARB determines a ruling based on your cases. Um, a lot of times that ruling is final and that's kind of the end of the road. But if we don't like that ruling, we can appeal it in a few different ways. We like binding arbitration and litigation. There's also a SOA appeal that you can do, but basically taking it out of the county's hands and going into either the state comptroller's office or the district court.
So I know for a typical person that doesn't do this on a regular basis, it can be very intimidating, especially going before the appraisal review board. So you start out with an informal, seeing if you can come to the agreement of what your numbers are, what you're looking at with comps, and then going, do you go take it to the ARB, or is that something you handle?
We handle that.
Okay.
So our firm, we make that determination for you. So we're performance based, and we take on the case like it's our own property. So we're going to go in and negotiate and know a number we is going to be a good number. We don't get that, we'll take it to the hearing and make that
So
determination.
I know with a lot of different firms here in Texas, they charge, usually it's a percentage of the savings. Tell us about what you and I have done to set up for as a help for people that watch this channel and part of the property owners that I help manage.
Yeah, absolutely. So we usually charge 35% of what we save on the tax bill. So it's purely tax savings. We don't charge hidden fees or upfront fees, but for your clients and listeners, we've set up a discount to only charge 25% of the tax savings. So if you go to our website and use the code principled on step two, the discount code, you'll get Brandon's discount and get that good fee with us.
And I wanted to say I've looked out into the market, and that's an excellent uh, fee structure for people. So you're only getting one fourth of the savings because I've seen some firms out there charging 50%. So, I mean, that's 50% less than some of these firms I've seen out there in Texas. And I'm sure you know what the competition's doing. And I think that was pretty extreme. So,
Yeah, I mean, we like to just be real hands-on with our relationships and the pricing helps. I think the 50% fee is an old school pricing model from the 90s that's kind of stuck around with some older firms, but that's way overpaying for um, the service, even
I
though we do
agree.
deliver a lot of value. And you can go on our website and look at our case studies. We save clients tens of thousands of dollars per case in some scenarios. So I think it's a fair deal.
What are some things you would say your firm does compared to others that maybe distinguish you amongst your competition? Do you do anything different, or how do you handle it differently?
Yeah, so I mean, we start off by being hands-on and responsive. Clients like yourself, where you have a beach house, a vacation property, we can't get down to Corpus and attend the hearings. Like we can do that, and we can talk to you about it. And here's how it's going, and here's what we're doing, and here's why we're being thorough. And it's not just another spreadsheet exchange with the county just to try to send you a bill. You'd be surprised about the amount of companies that just kind of take a low percentage offer and send a bill and call it a day. So you got to be careful about that. So I would encourage people just to make a few phone calls on the first couple pages of Google and see who answers their phone. We're going to answer our phone and talk to you. That's a
And
big deal.
that was something I appreciated, Charles. When I called your firm, I was able to talk to you and talk to somebody here local. I could tell from some of these firms I was talking to someone overseas and that they were just a call center, and I couldn't get really good answers. And I felt like with your firm, I was getting more specific answers that connected the dots of y'all were familiar with Nueces County that I was using. You were familiar with where I live, Johnson County. Your firm seemed to know some specific on lay of the land on the ground stuff, and that's what I appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, right? I mean, I guess there's firms like at least doing it's better than nothing, right? If you wanted to hire like a big national firm, but I mean, we're a boutique. We have about 20 people on our team. We're going to handle about 30,000 protests this year in Texas, which is a good number, but we can be thorough with that amount and spread it out between our local team members. So that's always important to us, and I like to get to know all of our clients. So, anyways, I think that's a big deal. We have a ton of data. We spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on data feeding into our appraisal softwares to come up with the best case, and then we make it easy for our clients to give us information that we may not be able to find in the data, like your roof's torn off or you need a new foundation, things like that. We make it easy to streamline so we can build a good case. And then my consultants, it's a licensed consultant is the name of the role. They're all performance based too, so they can handle a high capacity and go to work every day and make a lot of money and be motivated to win.
That goes into a question I'm going to ask, but what I realized we hadn't mentioned, can you give us the name of your firm? We didn't mention that from the
Gildan,
very beginning.
yeah, no problem. Gil Denson and Company.
Okay. And then you mentioned the data. How are you gathering the data? And then what are all the pieces you use to make the case?
Yeah, so it really depends on the case. So looking at a residential property, we're pulling in MLS data. So we subscribe to pretty much every local MLS. So we're gathering those sales. We also have access to mortgage data, so the lien on the property. So you can assume maybe it's an 80% loan. Even with Texas being a non-disclosure state, the mortgages are visible. And then we buy a lot of other data for other property types. So like CoStar for commercial properties. There's a lot of hotel data with occupancy as you get into commercial and income cases and cap rates. Um, and then we also have cost data built into our software. So replacement costs of a property. That's one approach in an appraisal. So we look at all of that to see which one's going to be the lowest. And then we also pull in the tax appraisal data that the county is actually using and look at their data to make sure they're applying it fairly. So like in your neighborhood, we've talked about, why are the views on the third row getting more of a premium than the first row that are right on the dunes with a perfect
Right.
unobstructed view. That could be something they're messing up and we have to address just in the tax appraisal. It's not fair, it's not
Yeah.
equal.
Yes, and some of their codes that they're using sometimes can raise the values. I'm assuming y'all know those different codes, and you're seeing where there's errors in it that might not be part for that property that are raising its values. I know in certain counties on investment properties, even residential and properties, they're using a cap rate type of metrics too, right?
Only if it's they're only supposed to if it's more than 5 units or more.
Okay.
The 1 to 4 families are supposed to be on a sales or cost approach and not an income approach. I
Okay.
would argue that it would be nice if a single family rental was able to be valued on income, but it's just not the way the code's written.
Gotcha. So, what is, when you're typically doing a protest, what is your success rate as a general rule?
It's about 8 out of 10, and that's for a market appraised reduction. So we could go in and get the market value down, and with all the exemptions, so your homestead exemption, that may not lower your value necessarily, your tax bill, your assessed value. Um, so it's still a successful protest. It's important that you did it. We may not charge a fee for that. We definitely don't charge a fee for that. But about 8 out of 10 of our protests are successful.
What, for someone that's watching this video, I would encourage them to use your company. What are some tips of helping you with the protest?
Yeah, so we want to know the things that we couldn't possibly know from our own research. So all the things I just mentioned. When you do onboard with us, we want to look at the big ticket items. And we have a questionnaire. You can also call and talk to us about them. I don't need cracks in the tiles and a broken down fence. I'm looking at roof, foundation, plumbing, HVAC, windows, big ticket items that may, $5,000, $10,000 at a time may add up to, okay, this is a $50,000 problem beneath the replacement cost and depreciation that we need to address.
Gotcha. Well, I'm trying to think of any other questions. What other things maybe that we haven't discussed that you would want to highlight?
Yeah, I mean, I would say everyone needs to be protesting. I get the question a lot, like, oh, will it hurt my value? No, it's risk free. If you're thinking about selling your property, an educated buyer actually wants a lower assessed value to pay less taxes. No one wants to pay taxes. So it's a yearly maintenance kind of thing. Like whether you're doing it on your own or hiring a firm like ours, just like make sure you're exercising that right. It's like not overpaying for insurance. Like shop your insurance every year. Make sure you're protesting your taxes every year. It's just part of being a property owner. I would say that's the number one thing because not enough people protest. And if they did, the system probably would break in the favor of the taxpayer.
Yeah, I guess I feel like I've learned that and come to realize that exact principle just a few years ago. I own several investment properties, and that part of me owning those properties, and I encourage every other investment property owner, is that is just part of your role every year to protest those values. And that's ways to protect your investment. It should just be, and not only for investment property, but for your personal homestead property, that should just be what you do every year. So I agree with that. I came to realize that just a few years ago that I felt like I missed the boat for many, many years and come to this realization I have to do this every year and it saves me money every year, thousands sometimes every year.
Yeah, you don't want to look up 5 years from now and you didn't do anything about it, and all of a sudden you have $25,000 more property taxes. And we're looking at the low end of comps. Like if you go sell your house with your broker and get a appraiser from the bank to come out there, they're going to look at, the high end. And that's great, but we're going to look at the low end to try to save you money. And again, you don't want a high tax appraisal. You don't have to.
I agree. I agree. Well, thank you, Charles, for this interview. I know um, say your company's name again, because if they want to do that, and then
Yeah.
we've got a discount for them.
Yeah, so it's Gill Denson and Company Tax Advisors. You can visit us at gildenson.com. It's two L's, gildenson.com. Use the code principled when you sign up, and you'll get the 25% rate for working with Brandon and us, and we'll look forward to helping you.
And they're going to talk to somebody here local. That's what I appreciated.
That's right. That's right. We have a team spreads throughout Texas, so we're all Texans here.
Thank you.